Hello and welcome to the United Stand Sunday Night Live, back for a new season. We've been with you all summer, but obviously this is the new season. How are you all feeling? To be honest, I feel that this is probably the best we've ever felt in a long time as Manchester United fans. We've been doing the United Stand for a couple of years. 40,000 subscribers today. Absolutely massive applause to you lot. We'll talk about that later. The United Stand story is going to start tonight, but that'll be much later. We wanted to talk about United. Very, very positive. As I was saying in my after-match reaction, it was a conclusive and convincing win, which we've not done away from home, at least for about 3 years. We've got Kev, who's going to join us. I think he's joining us now. I've got Alex on the show. We may have another guest as well, who's pro Jose Fonte, which would be very, very interesting to watch. But let's fly to Alex because he's here. What were your thoughts on the game, Alex, today? Are you happy? Who was your man of the match? Do you think anybody didn't do that well? For me, there was 10 really good players and an average Rooney, but and I'm going to be honest about that. I thought he was average, but he scored a goal. But in fact, somebody messaged me today and said, "Why are you getting on Rooney's back? His job is to score goals." I think for me, his job is to he's a number 10, is to create chances for Zach Marshall, which he's not really doing at the moment. The goals are a nice bonus, but I don't think people understand what a number 10 is. But we can talk that later. What do you think about the game?
From my perspective, I thought, to be fair, that I didn't think it was that stellar of a performance. I know we're now top of the table on goal difference and everything, but I thought the standout players for me were Bailly and Valencia. Valencia, it's so weird that he just randomly over the summer learned to finally cross a ball, and then since then he's actually managed in the last few games to provide like a few assists, and then he nearly got an assist for Zlatan as well. I think I didn't really see people's comments about it, but I saw you tweet that apparently people were saying Zlatan was lazy, which I think is an absolute disgrace for anyone to say, because he's once again scored from the only chance he had the entire game. It's not his fault that people aren't creating any chances for him, which once again goes down to team selection. But I said in our post-match, pre-match thing that I was worried about the team selection that we put out, but I don't think we were particularly stellar. I thought Rooney, as you said, was the worst player on the pitch, but I don't think too many people covered themselves in glory. But once again, it's the first game of the season, so you can't really judge too much of it, and I'll gladly take the points that we got.
We're trying to get people joining us. I can see that little app's coming up, but we're not getting any visuals, so hopefully Alex can sort that out. Certainly Manchester is ready as Kev. It's interesting that Alex said Valencia. I thought Valencia did okay. I think a few people said he was their man of the match. For me, he wasn't even in the top 5. It was Bailly, Martial, Fellaini, Herrera, and Blind were in my top 5. The Zlatan thing's ridiculous. He's getting used to the league, but he scored 2 goals in 2 games, which have been absolutely crucial. They've won us the game. I mean, his goal today, not many people can do that. Just because it's not flying into the top corner in the air, I think people didn't realise how good it was. The fact that it was on the ground made it harder for a keeper to save than it's in the air. It was actually better than that. So it was a brilliant goal. I thought he did really well. Somebody in there, I missed their comment, so they're probably quite lucky, said that Martial was poor today. I agree with you to a certain extent, but he had a 15-minute blitz where he did look disinterested and not getting in the game because Rooney wasn't feeding him. But then he suddenly exploded, and we've got Kev with us now, so I'll go to him in a minute. But he had a 15-minute spell where he won us the game. He had a big part in the Rooney goal, massive part in the Zlatan goal, a few runs at the opposition, but really, really was very good. But one thing I've noticed about United over the last 18 months especially is that we don't use the left-hand side anywhere near as much as we use the right-hand side, which is really, really weird. But Lindholm's also saying Rooney came across as arrogant. Everyone has something to prove every match. I know exactly what you're talking about, Lynn. It's one of the comments I want to talk later on. But Kev, can you hear me, first of all?
I can, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think I've got a slight lag on mine, but we can hear you. Great to have you back. Obviously, you're doing the van cams anyway, but it's great to have you back on a live show. What did you think of the game today? Who was your standout players? And, we haven't spoken since last season, so what are you feeling about the summer and Jose?
I think after watching that game today, I think there's loads of positives. I think the fact that Paul Pogba has yet to come into that team, that just adds to it. But for me, Luke Shaw coming back from injury is like a new signing. Bailly looks a fantastic player. That's 2 games now. Absent probably Nemanja Vidic. And all across when he come on, did a job. And yeah, delighted with the match, the result. I think it was a really good performance. Maybe the conceding a goal took the gloss off it slightly, but no, I think we're definitely a force. I think Ibrahimovic was in and out of the game, but he gets his goal, doesn't he? He did the same in the Community Shield. He just has that effect. But I think when you consider the last 3 years that we've had as United fans, I think this is really, really positive. Like I say, and you think we've got Pogba to come into that setup now, take us to another level.
Glad you said that, Kev. I've had to duck down a minute to try and improve the lag that we're getting. Hopefully that will click in. But I'm glad you mentioned that about Pogba. It's the sort of the tagline for the show tonight, really, I suppose. And it's a very interesting one, and I expect we might get 3 different answers. But Pogba and Smalling, obviously both available next week. Both missed suspension, although I suspect Pogba wasn't fit anyway. I'll go to you, Alex, again. Who do you play on Friday? Do you play any of them? Do you change a winning team? And who do you move out to bring those players in?
Well, personally, we have to take Fellaini. I don't think to be fair to him, I don't think Fellaini really played that badly today. If I was to make changes, though, you can't just expect to continually play well with Fellaini in the team. So I would take him out, but then at the same time, you'd think that Herrera would be playing the so-called Pogba position today. Rooney, I know he scored, and that's like when he scored, you were just thinking like, oh, he's just bought himself like another 5 or 6 games. Just because people now use that as backup, like, oh, Rooney scored, so that must mean he played amazing. He was poor throughout the game. Fellaini, like I said, he did play well, but I just don't think a Fellaini-Pogba partnership would work. I don't know why, I just don't think it would. But Pogba will obviously come out for Herrera, and then I would like to think it would be Schneiderlin or Carrick, but I do have a bad feeling it will be Fellaini and Pogba.
Did you hear what Jose said about Fellaini?
No.
Basically, he said that I'm aware that Manchester United fans... that would be really nice, Kev. That would be really encouraging. But he came out and said, I'm aware that Manchester United fans don't really love him, but they need to learn to love him because he's going to be a big part of my team, which is concerning. But I hope I know what you're going to say about Fellaini, Kev. I'll sort of say my little bit as I come across, is that, you know, it's a bit like a drop in the ocean, really. One good performance away to Bournemouth, and everyone's on the Fellaini bandwagon, surprise, surprise again. He's still crap. He's still been crap for 3 years, and I'd still sell him for 10 million if somebody offered it. So, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Mourinho, like a lot of people, like him. But what changes would you make to bring Pogba, Smalling back in, if you bring them back in?
It's got, like you say, I mean, Fellaini, fair play to him today. I think he had an all-right game. But to me, anytime Fellaini plays, it just feels like you're playing with 10 men. I've always said it, he's a red card walking, and he proved that today again with them elbows firing them about. You know, he will get us into trouble, on one occasion, and that's. I've always said it. I just do not think he's a Man United player, and I just cannot understand now why. I'm not questioning Jose Mourinho, but why is he in that team when you've got Schneiderlin on the bench? I think there's players that are far better than Fellaini, but he seems to get in. I don't know whether it's the height, the physical sort of aspect to it, but for me, he should not be in there. And like anyone that's watched Van Cam will know, obviously, I'm not a huge fan of his. And if David Moyes wants to take him off to Sunderland, like I said, I'll quite happily give him a piggyback there, because he's just not a United player for me. Not a United player. Like I said, better players that can fit into that position and cover him.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, I'm just going to go through some of the live comments here. That Fellaini was solid today, says David Ryan, won a lot of tackles. Max Peterson, he was very good today. You guys don't watch the game, says Too Damn Drill. Did you not watch the watch-along when we watched the game with you watching us? Again, Blind going unnoticed, says Rack McSee. And I'll give Blind a shout-out. I thought he was very good today. Pogba will be on the bench, says Glenn Walker. I wouldn't disagree with that. Blind is underrated as a defender, says Swift Specs. Yeah, Blind was brilliant today. But Fellaini will stay, but hopefully Pogba and Schneiderlin start Friday. All I'd say about Fellaini is I'd be a total hypocrite to say I wanted him to stay. I'd sell him any day of the week, and I think a few of us will drive him there. He did have a good game today. I think Kev sort of hits the nail on the head that I think he was picked for height because he did win a lot of balls in the air, and Bournemouth are a small team. I wouldn't have bothered playing him, but I was surprised by a few things today. I was surprised to see Mata on the right midfield again when you've got Mkhitaryan who could have played. I was surprised to see Schneiderlin and especially Carrick on the bench and Fellaini in the midfield. But it worked. It did work. But he will cause us trouble. He will cause us trouble. He's not a very good footballer. He had a good game today, and it's like it's like a sunny day in the summer. It doesn't make the summer. But I think he will play. He's definitely probably played his best game I've seen him play in a United shirt today, and that may sound a bit sensationalist, but I did think he didn't put much wrong today. But I thought it was a fantastic result and a convincing away win, like I said, which we've not had before. Alex, you were a bit negative about the result. What is it that made you negative? Was it the style of play? Was it the personnel? What was it?
In terms of the result, obviously it's an absolutely unbelievable result, and I would have bit your hand off for the result ahead of time because we haven't really got a good track record going away to Bournemouth, or even just Bournemouth in general, to be honest. But in terms of the style of play, it just seemed like I put a tweet out before half time where it was like Zlatan passed across to Rooney and then ran into space and like on a counter attack, and Rooney just stopped. And Zlatan was running in space, and he just stopped to just pass sideways to Mata, and then just Mata proceeded to pass it sideways across to someone else, and then they just passed it sideways again. And it just seems that we're still playing so safe, and I don't think that's Jose's style of play. I think that's just so much of like LVG still instilled in all of them that it just seems to still have a run-on effect. And Rooney he was so damn bad, and we talked about it in the watch-along before, like we don't understand why Mkhitaryan isn't playing. And I just think that's more evidence of why wasn't he playing. And Rooney scored a goal that was a lucky goal. Let's make no mistakes about it. It wasn't like Rooney turned someone and then slotted in the top corner. It was a lucky goal that he was just in the right place at the right time. And the fact that you said that people were slating Zlatan and then Rooney seems to be getting away scot-free, I think is an absolute disgrace because I think he was comfortably the worst player on the pitch.
Interesting. I do want to talk about Rooney. I'll go to Kev on this one. I just want to throw in the comment that Lynn was talking about, which I talked about in my after-match reaction, which I heard him distinctly say, and I was quite surprised by it. And I think, I'll see what everyone else has got to say before I say mine. Just very quickly, somebody said, what would I do about Friday? I'd forgotten about that. I would keep the same team as today, but I would bring Smalling in for Blind. I know a lot of people won't like that. I thought Bailly was brilliant, and I think Smalling has to play. And I would play Pogba in the midfield. I would play him from the start. I think he's a massive step up, and I'd play him with Herrera. So I'd drop Fellaini and Blind. Surprise, surprise, but there you go. So Rooney's comments were, basically, he was asked about his form in pre-season. He was next to Zlatan, and he said, I don't need to prove myself to anybody in football, and when I'm playing like that, like I did today, I'm answering all the critics. I don't know what your thoughts are, Kev, but one I think is totally wrong, but maybe this is what modern footballers are like. They just are out of their depth. They do not understand that. I think he's got a point to prove every single game. You've had your testimonial. We've said thanks for that. You've had a great 10 years at United. Doesn't mean you rest on your laurels. And also, if he thinks that was a good performance today, I'm really worried.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, out and the slippers on. Rooney has to prove himself. And if he thinks in his own mind, because he's going to be the all-time record goal scorer at United, he will be, but he needs to. He really does need to kick on. I mean, look in contrast with Ibrahimovic there, 34. 35 years old. I mean, there is a man dedicated to being better and better. Even the comments he come out with after it, saying he's adapting to the Premier League. Natural born winner, just wants to better himself, get better and better. And there you've got Rooney, where we've spoke about this loads of times. We're talking maybe 4 or 5 years here where Rooney has been probably bang average. And I know he's set high standards. By the way, he announced himself scoring a hat-trick on his debut against Galatasaray. But yeah, I mean, people might say I'm being highly critical, but Rooney really, I think if anyone in that team, that their place is under threat, it is Rooney. And I think Mourinho is big enough. He's a big enough character, and his personality. Rooney will. Honestly, when you think under David Moyes, Rooney was untouchable. Under Van Gaal, untouchable. Under Mourinho, none of these players are untouchable now, and Mourinho will do anything to basically win. He's shown it in the decisions he's made already. The fact that Schweinsteiger hasn't even got a squad number. He's playing, training with the under 21s or the reserves. Mourinho will give him a couple of games. If Rooney carries on like that, he's not irreplaceable. And I think a lot of United fans over the years, we've all seen it coming, and he's definitely not immune from being in that starting 11.
No, it's interesting as well. Greyman's just said that Rooney got a 7.6 on who scored today. I wouldn't give him anything above 6. I wouldn't. I know he scored a goal, but I mean, it wasn't a difficult goal. And also, if anybody, you can say who watched the game and everything like that. If you actually did watch the game, he was shocking for the first half. It was the same old passing to the wrong player, losing the ball when he got it. And that chance was because Martial's finishing was dreadful, and he just nodded it home from 6 yards out. But Rooney, in his own words, said, based on that performance, I'm really happy with myself. Well, I'm sorry, Wayne, I'm not. What I would say about what Kev was saying there, I'm not diminishing anything he's said in the last 10 years. He's been really, really good, but I judge him on the now. But Alex, I mean, he won't be dropped. I think we've had this chat before. The only hope is that he'll start playing better. But I mean, what we thought. I don't want to be negative because I think it's such a massive performance today, and we've not seen it for so long. But I do start to sort of. I just don't know whether fans are grasping what the number 10 is meant to do. He's not there to score goals like he did today. They're a cherry on the cake. What he is there to do is take the ball from the midfield and feed Martial, whoever's on the right, and Zlatan up front. And I haven't seen him do that at all yet.
That's the thing, with all Jose Mourinho's sides, he seems to always have a number 10, like a stereotypical number 10 that actually knows how to play the ball, which Rooney doesn't really know how to do. Rooney's more of a goal scorer, he always has been his whole career, but that's obviously dwindled down in the last 3-4 years, that he isn't really even much of a goal scorer today. I know he scored today, but then, like you said, that it wasn't really through any of his own merit. It was more just off just being in the right place at the right time, which some people can say that was down to his footballing intelligence, but it was more down to luck, to be fair, today. In terms of going forward, the worrying thing is that we thought that Lingard's injured, so then maybe Mkhitaryan will be on the right and stuff, but then Mata came on the right, so it just shows that Mkhitaryan is so far down on the pecking order that he's not even going to play when Lingard's injured, so he must be back up to Rooney. So the only way Mkhitaryan's going to be starting is if Rooney gets injured, which he just seems to be. I know everyone always laughs at this conspiracy theory, but we've talked about it on the show so many times, and I'm still convinced that Moyes put that in his contract, because there's no way that every single manager keeps seeing something in Rooney that we don't see. Yes, 5 years ago he was amazing. He's not that same player anymore, and he hasn't been for absolutely ages. I know I got rinsed on the show last year for saying it, but what has he done to prove me wrong since then? He's done absolutely nothing. He went on that little spell in, December last year, where he scored 7 goals in 6 games or something. But aside from that, what has he done in the last 5 years to prove what I said was wrong?
No, it's a fair point. I mean, Kev sort of alluded to it, and you have there. I know he's 31, and Zlatan's 3 or 4 years older than him, but let's not forget, Rooney's been playing since he was 16. He's never had a bad injury. I think his body-wise, he's probably mid-30s. He should be being pulled off, not in the literal sense, well, not that sort of show, but he should be being taken off around the 70-minute mark. I mean, even Hodgson got that right in the Euros. He's not a 90-minute player anymore anyway. I think he's on the decline because his fitness is on the decline because he's been playing for so long. But Aquilo says he didn't actually say what we've just said. He said he plays in that position, he will score again. I don't know what footage you're watching, Aquilio. He definitely said, I've got nothing to prove. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. He said it. I heard it. A lot of people heard it. He did say it, and I think it was ill-advised and arrogant. But if you love him for it, that's up to you. I just don't think any footballer should ever say, I don't need to prove myself to anybody, especially if they've got a Manchester United badge on their shirt. You've got to prove yourself every single week for the likes of those people on there, because it's big. The club is bigger than any player, and I don't like that sort of comment, and I don't think Lynn did either, which is why it was brought up. Let's get on to the... well, Tyler just says it doesn't bode well. Rooney was the worst on the pitch today, and he plays in the most important position. I think that sentence or two is spot on. I don't care if Rooney's in the team playing on the left wing again, but number 10 is so important, and I think that's why Martial was getting frustrated and had to come central, and I think that's why Zlatan isn't getting many opportunities, because the number 10 is just not doing what he's meant to do. But just before I go to Kev, there's another good comment here. Rorschach Kovac 30 said, Mark, a number 10 is supposed to orchestrate our attacks in the final third. Rooney hardly does this and slows us down so much. Again, a very good comment. I think for those who are defending Rooney because he scored a goal, go and have a look what a number 10's role is. The Mkhitaryan thing, I'm not going to dwell on it too much yet. Let's see what happens a couple of games in, because I can't, for the life of me, think that Jose signs Mkhitaryan. It's his signing and then doesn't use him. It's not like Memphis, who isn't his signing. This is his signing. He can't just not use him. It would be ridiculous. But let's keep an eye on that and see what happens. Going to Kev then, we've won. We've got 3 points. Apparently we're top of the league, which is great. We've got Southampton at home on Friday. I assume you'll be there for that, Kev. We've still got 2 weeks left of the transfer window. Do you think we need to sign any other players, or are you happy with the squad that we've got? And more importantly, do you think we will sign any players?
I think that's Joe's. His business is done. Again, on the old Van Cam there, I touched on the fact that summer-wise, as a transfer window, this is probably the best transfer window that I can remember. It's very rarely that a manager will go after. He obviously set his sights on 4 targets. He's got his top target in every department that he wanted to strengthen. And I always said under Louis van Gaal, although the style of football was shit and all that, with Van Gaal, it was that sideways passing. I really did feel that we were only sort of 3 or 4 players short of challenging for the title. And that's just something that Van Gaal never really grasped. But Mourinho has got his 4 top targets in. And I did touch on it again, like I say. I think it was 2007, was it, when we signed the likes of Tevez and Hargreaves. That was a great transfer window for United. But this one, I think it just blows everything out the water. This has been a really good transfer window. And compared to any teams around us, Man City, yeah, they're doing their business. Arsenal are pissing around doing their usual thing of, like bidding a pound over what players are worth and all that, and that's Arsene Wenger for you. But it makes me laugh because, yeah, we paid a bit over the odds for Paul Pogba, but he's basically a player that has turned down Real Madrid. He's come to Manchester United, and he's got the best years ahead of him. He's only 23, so it's a prospect. It's not like Bastian Schweinsteiger, somebody that, his best years are sort of behind him and he's coming to the end of his career. We've signed Pogba, and you get Arsenal fans going on about the price. 89 million is expensive. That is the exact player that Arsenal need. They've not had a player like that since Patrick Vieira. And if they'd have signed him, they would have had a statue built outside the ground. They would have had an open top bus parade. And that just shows you, we've got Pogba, he's come back, and I just can't wait to see him in a red shirt.
No, it's good. I mean, that's another positive today. It's a fantastic win. It's a convincing win. I keep saying that because I'm so convinced. But we've got so many players to come back in. Just for anybody out there, if you hate Arsenal, if you like Arsenal, I can't stand Arsenal. Always bet that they'll lose the home first game of the season. It's great because you've got the Wenger out crowd for Arsenal, and you've got the this is our year from the Liverpool lot. And the reality is both of them have got crap defences, and that's what today showed us. But John Pope says, is Kev in a prison cell? Well, he has been absent this summer. Show me your tag, Kev. He's on day release now, so he should be back every Sunday. There he goes. Look, yeah, and what was I going to say? Yeah, so I'd lean toward. I don't know what Alex is going to say, but I would lean towards the fact that our business may be done. I do think we might sign a right back because he obviously doesn't fancy Darmian at all. But look at what was good about today is that if a lot of those players playing today are going to be squad players like Mata, Herrera, Fellaini, Blind, they had impeccable games in some sense. And Blind was really good, and I wouldn't have him as my first choice centre back. Then you've got like Fosu Mensah who didn't even make the bench, Ashley Young, Phil Jones, unfortunately. So maybe we won't sign anybody else, Alex. I mean, do you think that's it, business done, or would you like to go and get some more? Do you think Jose would?
I think obviously the argument will be, do we need an experienced centre back or not? But I think if you were to give us the offer at the start of the summer that we'd sign Bay, which I get a lot of people wouldn't have heard of, but then Pogba, Zlatan, and Mkhitaryan as an offer to United fans before the summer, we would have bit your hand off for it, and we would have say this isn't FIFA, this is real life, yada yada yada. And then this actually happened for us. So I think if it does happen, then it happens. I personally don't think it will, but if it doesn't, then I think we are in absolutely we have no right to complain if we don't sign a right back or if we don't sign a centre back, because we've had by an absolute landslide, in my opinion, the best transfer window out of any club. So we can't say anything. I do think that we do need an experienced centre back, even if it isn't it won't be a big name. So if it was the likes of Fonte or something, then that's fair enough. But we can't complain either way, to be honest.
Well, I don't want Fonte. It's a shame you couldn't get your mate on, Alex, because apparently he wants us to sign Fonte. I'll just reiterate what I've said about Jose Fonte, the Southampton centre-back. He's 32 years of age. He might be experienced, but for me, he's the Portuguese Ryan Shawcross. And if he's so bloody experienced, why has he never played for a decent club in his life? And he's 32. And for those of people saying he won the Euros, so did Nani, and we sold him. So I just don't. I think he's a decent Premier League centre-back, but so's Ryan Shawcross, like I say, and 32 and never played for a top four side. Why the hell are we being linked to him just because he's an experienced Premier League centre-back? I think, as Alex sort of alluded to there, we've just signed Pogba, Zlatan, Mkhitaryan and Bailly, all of which look very, very good signings. Why go and buy somebody like Fonte? So I hope there's no truth in that. I do worry about some of our fans sometimes and what they think. Zane Charles, Jose Fonte is a world-class centre-back. I hope Manchester United sign him ASAP. Yeah, he's world-class, mate. That's why he's never played for a top-class team. Black Tide, we are in talks with him allegedly. Well, that's not what I've heard, but and I hope that stays the same. Mark 79, when you're back on Fan TV, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. More football snobbery, says Colke. It's not football snobbery, it's just opinion. He's on the decline. He's older than Rooney, and we want to sign him to be our experienced centre-back. Varane is the best choice, says Sohel. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Martin Coe says Darmian has got to be given a chance, or maybe I don't know what else he's saying there. I can't remember. It doesn't make any sense. But I was slightly sad today that Schweinsteiger's nowhere near the squad, and then you're playing Fellaini in the centre midfield position. I mean, I never thought I'd ever see that happen. That Schweinsteiger would be training with our kids, and Fellaini would be running our midfield. For as good as Fellaini was today, Schweinsteiger's twice the player he is, and the rest. But that is life. That is Jose's choice, and we have to we do stand by him. But what's I going to say next? I was going to throw it to Kev. I suppose we haven't spoken for a long time. What's your expectations from United this season? It's a great start. It's 3 points away from home. We've beaten Bournemouth. We're obviously going to win the league now. But what are your thoughts?
Definitely a title challenge. And I know it'll come back to probably bite me in the bum because I think I'd said it last season when we under Van Gaal. I thought for the money that he spent, we should have been involved in a title challenge. But I think this season, seeing how we set up today, I think it was just a total typical Mourinho performance. I think once we went 1-0 ahead, we never looked in any doubt that we were going to get 3 points. To go 3-0 up then, comfortable. and he just knows how to see games out. I think that was the bad side to Louis van Gaal last season, that we conceded a lot of late goals. You think of that draw at St James's Park against Newcastle, we more or less threw that away. You know, with the difference between 3 points and a point. I think this season under Mourinho, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to be the all-out attacking, gung-ho kind of football, but like Mourinho touched on it himself, Sir Alex Ferguson didn't always play that kind of football. I think a lot of people have this thing that United are just attack. Yeah, we can be, but I think, like Mourinho said, under Sir Alex Ferguson, there was times when United played Real Madrid, we played Rooney out on the left, we played players in certain positions to nullify and basically defend. And under Jose Mourinho, I think we will do the same, but he's a winner and we'll get results. I don't think every week it'll be great to watch, but you've got to get that happy medium, haven't you? If you've got confidence in Mourinho and the team and what we're doing, you don't care, do you? As long as you win and you win in games, that's all Mourinho's about.
Yeah, I think there's some good points there. Just for those who aren't aware, Kev's a massive David Moyes fan, hence his new acquisition, a Black Cat, Sunderland. But just another Pepe says 64 points on his fantasy football team. For those who are in the United Stand Fantasy Premier League, obviously opening weekend, he's asking if anyone got better than 64. Quite a reasonable score. I got 68. But I think in Bastian's case, it's his age that goes against him, says Dance Fever. I don't know what's gone on there. I blame Rooney. I really do. But there you go. And but yeah, I think what Kev's saying there is spot on about Jose. I was saying this a couple of weeks ago. He's so experienced in the Premier League. I've seen the other side of him, as some of you will have done, when he was our rival and when he first came over under Sir Alex. And he's just like he's just relentless in how to win Premier Leagues. And I said this a couple of weeks ago that he will look at the Bournemouth game, and regardless of how we're playing, it will be broken down, and it'll be like, right, that's got to be 3 points. Like Southampton on Friday night, that's got to be 3 points. Hull, that's got to be 3 points. City game, nice to get 3 points, but a point at least. And he'll have looked at every game over the 38 games and gone, right, we need to get this to win the title, and that's how he'll do it. And I think also, like Kev was saying there, it's the nature of the win, it's the convincing nature of the win that is encouraging today. And the away games with the likes of Rooney, the away games with the likes of with Van Gaal last season, we weren't that convincing. We'd go 1-0 up and then we'd lose games, but we were just so convinced we'd never ever lose that game today. I think we've got, is it Key? Key, go on then, mate. You're straight on. Tell us why you want to sign Jose Fonte. Is he on? I've frozen him. Look, I've killed him straight away. He can't come back. But Alex, quickly while he sorts himself out. This season, we've obviously got Arsenal had started off badly. We're already 3 points ahead of them. What are you expecting from this season? I think we're obviously going to get better, but I certainly think going into the Man City game in 3 games' time, we should have 9 points. I think the title's there to be won, and what makes me think we'll win it is the manager that we've got, because we weren't that great today in many ways. We didn't create many chances, which is very reminiscent of Van Gaal, but in other ways, we were totally convincing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like a lot of City fans were getting so arrogant after their game yesterday, which Paddy McNair fucking ridiculously headed it into his own goal under no pressure, and they now think, oh, Pep tactical genius. And the worst thing is, I was listening to TalkSport earlier, and they were actually trying to say that he was a tactical genius, and I'm not even making this up. They genuinely said, is this Pep Guardiola being a tactical genius, playing Kolarov at centre-back and then playing Clichy and Sagna moving into the centre midfield positions? Can you imagine if Louis van Gaal did that, or even if Jose did that, or any other manager did that? They would have said, oh, he's lost the plot, he's an absolute disgrace. But because it's the golden child, the board fraud, that he's an absolute amazing manager for playing that. And I guarantee you, if they played like that formation, that squad, against any team in the top 14 in the Premier League, they'll lose. They should have lost to Sunderland. They didn't create a single chance. They won from a penalty and an own goal, and their own goal was stupid own goal as well. And that isn't even sour grapes. I could understand it, like if they were against like a decent team and did that. They were at home to the worst team in the league, and let's make no mistakes about it. Sunderland were the worst team last season that survived in the league, and they were at the Etihad and did that. So can you imagine if they play like that and play John Stones and Kolarov at centre back against Man United? And we're not even that great at the moment, but I'd feel a lot more confident with us against that defence that City put out yesterday than the one Bournemouth put out today.
Yeah, it's a good point, Kev, because if you look at our last two starts of the season, I don't think it was. I think Moyes had a decent start from what I remember. I definitely remember us winning away at Swansea, and then I think we drew Chelsea, and then it went to rat shit, I think. But the reality is, I think that game was quite difficult. Southampton will be difficult. It'll be another test. You want to develop and have a test. But looking at the opposition, very quickly before I go to you, I watched Man City last night, and I tweeted it. I said City aren't going to score as many goals as they did under Pellegrini or Mancini because Pep is already implementing this tick-taka rubbish, which won't work in the Premier League. They'll have 90% possession, but we've seen that with Van Gaal. It won't work in the Premier League. They won't create as many chances. Who do you think is going to be? I mean, I might have totally wrong, but who do you think is going to be the big threat this season? I think Leicester are obviously not going to be up there.
I wouldn't have thought. And I mean, you look at the bookies. I know that last season they offered 5,000 to 1 on Leicester winning the Premier League, but they are the highest odds for a the team that are champions to retain their title. I think they're 28 to 1 to win it this season, which I think tells you a lot. It's a one-off. I honestly do not think that will happen again, and I think that's why a lot of teams have strengthened. But the threat, I would say, I know you just touched on there and said you weren't impressed with City yesterday, but for me, that is the main threat. Totally agree with the Guardiola sort of, the football that he's trying to bring in. I think a lot of journalists have wrote about this is the biggest test of his career, because at Barcelona he had Messi, Iniesta, and Xavi. Three of the best players probably the world has ever seen. That's going to help you out. Obviously, he went to Bayern Munich, where they're like this, Celtic of Scotland. They're expected to win the league every year. But at Man City now, it's going to be totally different for him. And like you said, that the one thing I noticed about the play is the fact that they will try to retain the ball and just keep possession for the sake of it. For me, I don't think City have got the players to do that. Like I say, at Barcelona it worked because of the team that they had, but a big test for Guardiola, but I would expect them certainly to be challenging and up there. I'd say they are definitely the biggest threat, and I would not write off Chelsea. I think Conte, great manager, and I think he'll really get them going this season as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I got a lot of stick for saying that Chelsea wouldn't be in the top four. I'm really looking forward to Chelsea-West Ham tomorrow, because I think West Ham is still a decent side. I just think with Chelsea, I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying I don't think they'll be in the top four. I do rate Conte, but I just think Chelsea is such a mercenary team. I just don't know whether they can switch it on or off. And also, is Costa staying? I think Conte will do a good job, but he might be a sort of next season manager. It might be too much to sort of change around this year. But I could be totally wrong about that. King Hassie said Sterling looked good yesterday. That was funny enough. That was going to be one of my comments about City, because Pep said he played really well. Jose might be saying that Fellaini played really well, but if they're going to put all their hopes on Raheem Sterling, you're not going to win the title, lads. I can't see them doing that well, to be honest. It did somebody said as well, it reminded them of Van Gaal. Very, very true. They were the home team. Sunderland, even under Pellegrini, you'd expect City to win 4 or 5-0. They never looked like doing that yesterday. Dominated the possession, but as we've told Van Gaal so many times, you dominate possession, you get one ahead, but the opposition in the Premier League will always get a chance. Sunderland got back in it, and if it wasn't for bloody Paddy McNair, then it probably would have been a draw anyway. Alex, I've more or less run out of my questions, unless there's anything you wanted to add in. I saw you smiling about something.
Oh no, just my fiance was walking past and stacked it over the chair and fell over. That's what I was laughing at before. But no, yeah, the Paddy Millionaire thing, I watched it live and it pissed me off so much. But we can't really complain about a Man United player doing that, considering Jan Azai ended up getting the assist for the Defoe goal in the first place. So give and you take, but they literally didn't impress me whatsoever. And like I said, they were the worst team that stayed up last season. So we played them after the Southampton game. And if they play like that, especially at Old Trafford, and I really hope they put that defence out, because then we'll see what a tactical genius Pep is if you put that defence out at Old Trafford and see what happens.
Yeah, we don't play them after Southampton. We play Hull, don't we? But it's the game straight after the international break. It's 3 games and there's an international break, and then we play City on the 9th or something like that. But it is interesting. We are top of the league apparently. What I would say is something I'd forgotten to say from the previous bit was I don't think Leicester will be awful. I just think, you know what, opening day of the season, anything can go wrong. It always happens to Arsenal. It's so funny. Hull just promoted, Leicester away. I thought Leicester were very impressive in the Community Shield and at least deserved the draw. And it's funny how football works. But that's why I think today was such a good result. We were away from home. We're a new team with a new manager. Bournemouth, whether they were really bad or whether we just tactically sorted them out, we totally deserved the win. So you can flip it both ways. But it is only the opening day of the season. Arsenal will still finish 4th and bounce back. I think Leicester will have a good season, but I think if they get anywhere near the top 6, it would be a miracle. But the great thing is we're playing, as Carrick fan says, we're playing on Friday night against Southampton. If we win that, we're playing before everybody else. We've got 6 points, and it starts to, your confidence builds, and then we've got Hull away just on the bank holiday weekend. We win that, 9 points into the City game. No one else is going to be above us. First game of the season, is it on Friday, Kev?
Yes, mate, I'll be there, yeah. Will be.
Good. A bit early. You're going to do as a van cam, I presume, anyway, but any concerns about Southampton?
You know what, I think under Koeman, they were a really good side. They had good sort of shape to them, but I think the fact that it's going to be the first sort of home game for a lot of these players, Pogba comes in, if fit, I think he probably will be fit, match fit, would you say he's match fit? And maybe he'll make an appearance, but I think like for players like Ibrahimovic, this is the first time that they're going to be stepping out Old Trafford, and it's I just think they'll rise to the occasion. I think it's like you touched on before. I think it's all about momentum now. To get them 3 points on the board and just build on it now, we just have to basically keep winning. I think Mourinho himself said, you know, he just wants to win every game, and that's good enough for me, because it's a far cry from when you think of Louis van Gaal, and you know, he was questioning United fans and saying that our expectations were too high, they were too much. That's where he failed. Now we've got a proper winner in, and at any cost, regardless of what he does or who he leaves out, we will win games, and that's all that it boils down to. He's got a massive ego, Mourinho, and he wants to win games. He wants to win them for United. He wants to win them for himself, and that's what he'll do. He's exactly like Sir Alex Ferguson was, and it's just great to have somebody who knows what they're on about in charge of Manchester United again.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've said it a few times. I think he's the best manager in the world. I think Friday night is massive on so many levels. First game at Old Trafford, first proper game for all our new signings at Old Trafford. Forget that Rooney testimonial; it was horrible. Pogba will be involved at some point. A big crowd driving us on. We've had a fantastic summer, and it's great that the season sort of followed on from that with a really good win today. Southampton on Friday. Hopefully, we'll beat them. Pogba, I just can't wait for people to see him, because I think he might even surprise a few United fans as to how good he is. Matt James saying that Kev's cat is staring into his soul. Yeah, I think he's not the only one. And yeah, I just can't wait for Friday. But we've got loads planned before then. What have we got planned? Well, we hit the 40,000 subscribers. Unbelievable summer yet again. Thanks to everybody who just keeps getting involved, sharing videos, liking videos, everything. We said we were going to do a story of the United stand. We will start doing that. In fact, for anybody who wants to jump over onto United Stand Extra Time, I'm going to jump across there in the next couple of minutes. The link is in the video description, and I'm going to start United Stand's story on there. And then we'll carry it on the channel this week, probably tomorrow night. But also Tuesday night we'll be on Fan TV. We've got Dan in the studio down there again, maybe Chris, and I think I might Skype in. We'll see. So that's Tuesday. But we will be live every night this week at 8:30 as per usual, talking United. So we will be back tomorrow night as well for those who don't want to jump into United Stand Extra Time in a moment, where we'll start the United Stand story. But Kev, fantastic to have you back. Hopefully, I know it's work related really why you struggle to get on, but the door is always open. Your van cams are back. I know a lot of people who love Kev's van cams. Hopefully they will be there every week. And we'll, like I said, if you can get on live shows whenever you can, that'd be great.
Good to be back, man. Like I say, it seems like ages. It's good to be commenting now, like I say, under a manager like Mourinho. You think of the doom and gloom over the last 3 years that we've had, and talking on this show and pouring our souls out and all depressed and that. It's the feel-good factor is back, and like you say, yeah, I do the van cam every week anyway because I enjoy doing that. It gets everything off my chest, and thanks everyone for watching. Anyway, I managed to get me little overlay on it halfway through, so if you want to follow me.
Yes, the overlays are back. I forgot about that. Yeah. The overlays are back, so yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'll leave that up while I'm just chatting so people can see Kev's thing. Yeah, great to have Kev back. Fan cams are brilliant, and I said it earlier as well. We've been doing the United Stand for 2 years. It's been an odd journey, a fantastic journey, but we've never had a Premier League title while the United Stand's been on air. It's all we've only, I think we started when Van Gaal was manager, didn't we? Van Gaal, yeah. So we've been going about 18 months. So it's been a bit of a bumpy ride. We've really enjoyed it, but hopefully this season we're going to get a league title. Imagine that, it'd be great, and hopefully that will happen. Thanks for coming on, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Good show, guys, and yeah, fantastic result in the end. And it's a bit weird to be playing on a Friday, but let's hope we get another brilliant result.
Yeah, obviously we'll have another watch along. I think there was over 2,500 people watching it, the watch along with us today. Love doing those shows. If you've not watched one, we will be doing it on Friday. Really good laugh and some really good tactical stuff from the live comments box. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to end this and go across onto United Stand Extra Time now, where we'll start talking about United Stand and how it all started, etc. So you can all get involved in that. But a momentous day for the United Stand to hit 40,000 subscribers is just massive. It's been what a journey. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. But what a journey it's been, and just stick with us because who knows where this journey will end. Year on year, it's just getting better and better. And more importantly, United starting the league like this. Amazing summer, and we started off well. And I just feel that with the man we've got in charge, there's no reason why it's going to suddenly end. So, yeah, brilliant start. See you all tomorrow at 8:30. Thanks to Kev. Thanks to Alex. I'm going on to United Extra Time Army with Timbo. I think Tyler will probably come on because I know he's part of that. And thanks everyone for watching. Brilliant. Absolutely superb.